I never imagined I could be the person who wrecked everything I promised to protect. Yet here I am, staring at the pieces of life I helped shatter with one selfish choice. Daniel and I had been together 7 years, safe, steady, ordinary. He was the kind of husband whose presence was a comfort more than a fireworks display. The spark had dimmed, sure, but I believed love could survive steadiness. Then Ethan walked into the picture and lit something inside me I didn't know was missing. Ethan was everything Daniel wasn't. Spontaneous, dangerous in the most intoxicating way, alive in a way that made me feel seen again. The first time we kissed, I told myself it was an accident, a lapse, nothing more. But the guilt didn't extinguish the thrill. It made it sharper. Secret messages became little highs. The excitement of hiding, the carefulness of choosing words, the hush of stolen meetings. It all turned into a hunger I couldn't feed openly. Lies became a new architecture between my husband and me, laid brick by brick. One evening I was typing a reckless text to Ethan when Daniel came home early. My phone clattered to the floor like it had been thrown. He picked it up and read. There was no shouting, no collapse into tears. He simply looked at me as if the part of him that loved me had already checked out. "Who is he?" he asked, his voice flat and small. I could have lied. I should have. But whatever was left of my honesty forced the truth out. And when it landed between us, the silence that followed hit harder than any argument ever could. Then he smiled. Not a smile that forgave, not one that begged, but a thin, precise thing that sliced. "Okay," he said, "if that's what you want." In that instant, I realized I hadn't just betrayed our marriage. I'd awakened something in Daniel I didn't recognize, and I had no idea where it would take him. After that, everything shifted. Daniel didn't storm out or beg. He transformed. He began waking before dawn to train until his body ached, swapped his worn shirts for tailored suits, and carried himself with new, deliberate confidence. I assumed it was a midlife surge, a desperate bid to win me back. But the way other people noticed him told a different story. Strangers' glances lingered. Coworkers found reasons to be near him. The barista at our corner cafe suddenly laughed too long at his jokes. And Daniel, who used to be content with quiet affection, didn't push any of it away. He seemed to relish the attention. I confronted him once, unable to hold the accusation inside any longer. "Is this punishment?" I asked, voice trembling. He turned, and his grin had edges. "Punish you," he replied. "No, thank you." That was the cruelest revelation. This was revenge aimed at me. It was a rebirth for him, a life I no longer fit into, and one I'd set in motion. Our anniversary became the final undoing. He took me to the restaurant where he'd proposed, but instead of nostalgia, there was distance. He spent the evening scrolling, smiling at someone else's messages. When I whispered, "Who is it?" he looked up and said, "Remember Sarah, your roommate from college?" The name landed like ice. Sarah had always been my secret measuring stick. Prettier, louder, the version of me I thought I'd never become. Watching Daniel laugh at her text felt like watching a verdict. A fortnight later, the divorce papers arrived. By then, I realized something more painful than any retribution. I had already lost in the moment I chose someone else. The man who walked away wasn't the man I married. He was the man I had driven into someone new. And for that, there was no excuse and no going back. All that remained was a quiet, heavy remorse and the knowledge that some choices echo far longer than we expect.